Hi, hey, and hello there. Obi-Han here, and welcome back to the Comic High Ground. Well. What do we have here? A Marvel DC crossover, you say? They haven't had one of those since the early 90s or early 2000s or something. I don't know. It's been a bit. And to be honest, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing that this crossover happened. On the one hand, it's awesome and fans of each side can benefit from it. On the other hand, I have to slightly wonder if comic sales may be hurting a little bit and they need a little bit of a boost. I haven't looked up any numbers, so I'm just going to say they wanted to do something fun for the fans and bring back crossovers. All I know is I had to cover it. Best I could tell, this is one of those one-off issues. Like I don't think this is like 3 or 4 different issues. I think it's just like one issue. The story is wrapped up in this one issue. I'll research more about it to see, but as for right now, we're just going to cover what we got. So we start off with Bruce Wayne monologuing to himself about how a bunch of chemicals have gotten stolen for the past couple of weeks, and he hasn't really been able to catch who's behind it. He already knows it's the Joker because he mentions that the chemicals are components used in the Joker toxin. As he's sitting there in his living room thinking, Deadpool bursts through his windows. He tells Bruce to show him his hands. This is because Bruce has been sitting there in his robe with a laptop in front of him. And because we all know Wade, he assumed that Bruce was, I'm gonna say he's gonna assume Bruce was on the happy sites. Bruce is like, hey, who the hell are you? And Deadpool's like, I'm Deadpool. People call me the Merc with the Mouth. He says that it's because he's hilarious and no other reason. And that if anyone says different, they're either lying or really drunk. And Bruce, who is already tired of Deadpool, is like, good God. So Wade tells Bruce that considering he's a billionaire, he knows this because he saw his name plastered across the city, by the way, that he must have somebody he wants out of the way, like a business associate maybe. And Bruce, of course, tells him that he isn't that kind of billionaire. He sees a picture of Alfred and is like, well, then who's that? And Bruce is like, that's my butler. And Wade is like, butler? Yeah, boss, you're that type of billionaire. And then Wade is like, I bet you made him call you Master Bruce. And Bruce is just kind of sitting there quiet. And just to be clear, I don't think this is like the usual Bruce Wayne quiet, grumbly type of personality. I truly think that Deadpool got him there because he couldn't even I can't argue with that. I can't even dispute that he telling the truth. That is all Alfred called him was Master Bruce. So Wade starts making these assumptions that Bruce is some type of weirdo billionaire. He eventually tells Bruce that he's after Batman. He mentions that he's being paid a lot of money to hunt him down. Bruce warns Wade that Batman will only be found if he wants to be found. Then Deadpool notices that the bat signal is in the sky. He turns to Bruce and is like, hey, what is that? What is that up there? You don't think it's some type of like bat call or something? And Bruce is like, of course not. It's a bat signal. And judging by the way he said it, he clearly knew how ridiculous that sounded because for one thing, that's basically the same thing. But Bruce clearly wanted to call it what it was instead of what Wade said it was. Wade, of course, finds it hilarious as he jumps out of the windows and says there's no way Batman isn't just doing a bit. So Bruce then changes to get ready to go to the bat signal. And we then cut to Gordon, who's sitting there waiting like always. Somehow Wade beats Bruce there and is pretty much out of breath for his efforts. Gordon is like, hey, who the hell are you? And Deadpool introduces himself as the Merc with the Mouth again. And he and Gordon have this back and forth, which eventually leads to Wade pulling his gun on him. But just as he does this, Batman shows up knocking Wade down. Now, before this, Wade had a hard time believing that a man dressed as a bat could be threatening. But seeing him in person, he basically says he can totally understand how now. So they begin fighting, and the back and forth is hilarious because Batman is actually entertaining Wade's nonsense way more than you would think he would. Wade says, hi-ya, when attacking, and Batman counters and says, I think you mean Kia. Wade then admits that Batman is better at, and I gotta say this like he would, karate. By the way, that's literally how it's written there. Like the spelling is like pretty much I think Ryan Reynolds said it one time like that. But then Wade says he brought toys as he pulls out a dagger. Batman then smiles and says, "So did I," and he throws batarangs at Wade's hand, causing him to drop the blade. Wade then gets gassed and wrapped up in one of Batman's like trap rope things with the balls. I forgot what they're called, but it's like a trap rope. If you've seen the cartoon or seen any type of Batman media, you know what I'm talking about. And he tells Batman he's right. They are too evenly matched. And Batman is like, "I never said that." Then Wade is like, "It's clear that we earned each other's respect." And Batman is like, "Clear to who?" So Wade gives up, saying he couldn't bring himself to delete Batman. And Batman is like, "At no point was I ever in danger of getting deleted." They then focus on what Gordon called Batman for. Joker has sent out a message giving Batman about 6 hours to find him. They eventually narrow down where Joker could possibly be with the help of Deadpool's crazy ramblings. Batman agrees to take Wade with him, considering he's basically as crazy as the Joker. They ride through Gotham in the Batmobile, and Wade is kind of complaining about how the Batmobile is not really built for two people. And then they start talking about Robin, because Batman says he's more of a solo act, and Wade starts talking about Robin, which basically leads to him having to keep from making the obvious Robin jokes. But it's at this point that Wade gasses Batman with knockout gas and reveals that he actually is fulfilling his mission. The person who hired Wade was, of course, none other than the Joker. I think that much was pretty predictable. When Batman wakes up, he questions the Joker for actually relying on somebody else to capture him as opposed to handling it himself. And Joker says that he realized he was self-sabotaging by relying on henchmen and doing things the way he was usually, so he decided to take a different approach. He went to Clarion. If you all don't know who Clarion is, he's that goth-looking kid with the magic powers in DC. Clarion pointed him to a contractor who basically was as crazy as he was, but that the problem was that he was in another universe. So Joker managed to somehow get his hands on the cosmic treadmill and started running. Of course, he's no speedster, so he had to ask the Reverse Flash for a favor. And then he makes a joke about how the treadmill basically gave him amazing glutes. And he's like, "Nightwing who?" And I guess the Nightwing joke is actually canon in DC. Of course, at this point, Batman does what Batman does. He tells the Joker that he found someone crazier than him. And Joker's like, "I mean, I wouldn't say crazier. I mean, what you talking about, man? Were you drunk? He's not crazier than me." And Batman is like, "I would. You spent a lifetime trying to drive me insane, and this clown over here did it in an hour." This, of course, pissed Joker off because he's like, "Look, hey, I'm the only clown around here, right? Don't compare that fraud to me. I'm the only clown around here." And Wade is just kind of sitting here just watching the whole thing. He's really quiet at this whole time. And one thing I want to mention before I continue, the only exchange we had seen from Joker and Wade at this point, Joker had made this punchline of a joke, and Wade was like, "Oh, that's a good one. You use your name in that joke." And Joker was like, "For the last time, stop interrupting or be quiet," or something like that. But the point is, Wade is getting on the Joker's nerves, and that's saying something, because Joker is crazy. And of course, like, again, Wade is crazy too, but yes, Wade was getting on Joker's nerves as well. So continuing on, Batman then tells Joker, "You're right. He's not a clown. He's something more. He's a villain worthy of the Bat, a villain worthy of my obsession." And that was all Joker needed. That was all Joker needed to hear. Because at that point, he was livid. So he calls Wade to the side and he's like, "Let's chat." And he wants Wade to leave, but Wade is like, hey, I mean, I don't know, man. This dude's kind of awesome. And I mean, I'm kind of getting obsessed myself. Like, I could definitely see like this extended game of cat and mouse between us that spans decades and slowly evolves into like this de facto relationship. And he says like this whole big speech, and he's basically describing Batman and Joker's dynamic. And of course, this only serves to piss Joker off more, so he offers to shake Wade's hand with his electric buzzer, which was also laced with Joker toxin. Wade, not knowing what it was, went on ahead and shook his hand and got not only shocked, but infected with the Joker toxin. And Wade starts to change, but only in appearance. In his speech, he is kind of full of laughter, but unlike all of the other victims of the Joker toxin, Wade actually still has control, obviously, because he has his healing factor. So he turns around and bitch slaps the Joker, and literally that's what he did, and then goes to free Batman. Joker then tells them that his Joker toxin bomb will go off in like 30 seconds unless someone who wants to play hero gets to the center of like this carousel that he has it in and presses the button on the inside. But whoever does this will be exposed to the full Joker toxin that's in that bomb. And so obviously someone like Batman really couldn't do that. But Wade, being there, of course, jumps right on in and saves Gotham. So Batman takes Joker in and basically tells Wade that he'll go ahead and let him go and he needs to go home because he saved Gotham. So he's like, you saved Gotham, you can go home. Just get the fuck out of here. He's like, get the hell out of here. And so that's basically the issue. Like, Wade he doesn't go home. He kind of, it's like something else catches his attention, and that's kind of where the issue closes out. And then we get like these other little mini stories with like Deadpool and Green Arrow working together. Not Deadpool, I'm sorry, Daredevil and Green Arrow working together. And someone else, there was another little crossover. I can't remember all of them. If you all want me to cover those or do like maybe a short on those, I can. In fact, that might be what I do because they weren't that long, but it was just fun crossovers, so we'll see. But I gotta say, this issue was really entertaining, and I do hope they do more crossovers soon. Like, I know Spider-Man has crossover with Superman, Spider-Man's crossover with Batman, but there's more they could do, right? I mean, the characters are more up to date, or the characters are newer now in terms of stuff going on, and like it would be cool to see like maybe Miles meet Static or something. I doubt they'll do that because there's that whole thing with Milestone, and I don't think they can just make that. I don't think they can. I don't think DC has or is running. If DC's running a Static comic, I'm sure they don't have the power to do these crossovers without permission. So, but yeah, a crossover with Miles and Static would be cool. A crossover with Peter or Spider-Man and Batman again would be cool. Actually, a good crossover would be Spider-Man and Nightwing. To make that happen, DC, a good crossover, or DC and Marvel, a good crossover would be between Peter and Nightwing, because I think that would be really awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this issue. I mean, Wade and Batman were handled and depicted great. Not one was kind of handled better than the other. They were true to character. They didn't favor any of the characters. Yes, Batman beat Wade, but I think it's also important to keep in mind that Wade was not going all out against Batman. By the same token, Batman wasn't going all out against Wade. But the point is, if Wade wanted to, he could have pressed Batman more than what he did. And I think that's pretty obvious. Anyone who knows anything about these characters knows that. And he didn't rely on like his healing factor or anything like that much. So that's why I say it was just a fun story, right? And that's what we all came here to read. So hopefully they'll make more, and hopefully it'll be soon. And maybe one day we'll get a crossover animated feature or something. Who knows, right? But that's the video for today. Hit that like button if you liked what you saw. Drop a comment to let me know what you thought of this comic. Do you want more? What crossovers do you want to see in the future? Because there's a lot of possibilities. So let me know that. Hit that subscribe button for more, and remember, we have the high ground. Catch you later.